Hey guys, it's me, Alyssa from Rags to Stitches. Welcome to Coffee Date today. If we were having coffee, I would tell you that I still have not updated my Tumblr. I had every plan to this week so I could show you some awesome pictures, but totally forgot. So because I totally forgot, because I was a little bit busy, I did get LASIK eye surgery yesterday. I know some of you are probably wondering what I'm doing back on the computer, but I wouldn't miss a coffee date for the world, so I'm just going to jump on here real quick, chat with you guys, and then go close my eyes. So if I look a little bit, if my eyes look a little bit glossy, it's just because I just put drops on them. So as I mentioned earlier in the week, I was at the Penelope Lane conference last weekend. I had the chance to speak about finding your voice and using it when working with brands. So I thought today I would chat a little bit with you guys about the first point that I made at the conference. So the first thing I talked about with everybody was knowing your personal brand. And what I mean by knowing your personal brand is that understanding that your blog and your space is your brand. It's a reflection of you. It's a reflection of who you are, and what you say there and what you say through all your social media channels that are all under that same name or company umbrella is a reflection of you and your brand. So I have a couple questions for you. How many of you spent more than 5 minutes coming up with your blog name? Did you sit down? Did you write a list? Did you talk to your partner, your spouse, your friends? Did you, were your goals to try and find something that reflected you, reflected things that you're interested in? Maybe if you have a handmade business, would also reflect that handmade business. But if you're anything like me, I spent a lot more than 5 minutes trying to come up with a name for my brand. I wanted something that reflected who I was. And for me, Rags to Stitches not only reflected the fact that I had a handmade business where I was taking scraps of fabric and sewing them together to create something unique and something fun and trendy and awesome, or at least I hope it would be awesome once I launched it in my shop. But Rags to Stitches for me also was a symbol of my faith. It was taking pieces of who I am, who I've been, where I've been, and just allowing God to kind of piece it together and stitch together and make it whole and make it new and make it something that would glorify Him. So for me, that's how I came up with Rags to Stitches. How you came up with your name might be something similar, something that would have reflected you. So think about that. If you spent more than 5 minutes coming up with your blog name, then that means that it was important to you. It needed to be something that reflected you. Therefore, it was the beginning of your brand. My second question for you, sorry, I'm kind of looking at my notes over here just to make sure I get all this information to you. My second question for you is, how many of you then took that name that you came up with that you're so proud of and either designed a blog around that name that fit your color, your favorite colors, your style, whether it be vintage, neon, lots of color, a little bit of color, something simple, something fun and dynamic. But how many of you took the time to either design it yourself or go find a designer that was going to be able to design something that really reflected who you are in this blog title and tagline that you came up with? I know I did. And the reason why I ask these questions is because if you look at any brand out there, whether it's Nike, Apple, Tom's Shoes, they all came up with a name for their company. They came up with a logo for their company, and they had a design, website designed around that company. And even those companies have a blog, and their blog reflects what they have on their website. Okay, so if you raise your hand to either one of those questions, then you need to understand that you have now started or in the beginning stages of developing that brand. So anything that you write on your blog, anything that you write in your social media is a reflection of that brand. So the second thing I want you to understand is that whether you have one reader or you have 500 readers, or you have hundreds of thousands of readers. Those people read your blog. They follow you via Twitter, Facebook, all your social media, because they appreciate your brand. Because somehow you have, in some capacity through those mediums, influenced them. And that influence causes them to continue to come back to your space, to continue to generate conversation with you on those social media spaces, and share it with their friends. Okay, so understand that your blog is your brand. Okay, you have a logo, you have a tagline, you have a personal picture, you have an about page. Okay, these are things that let people know who you are, why you exist, why you share on that space. And so everything that you do with that space needs to reflect those things. Okay, and so that's the important part of knowing your personal brand. You're not going to put something in your space or on your blog that doesn't have anything to do with what you normally would write or share about. So I think this is important because oftentimes we don't see our blog as our brand. We just see it as this space that we write, and it doesn't matter whether you plan to grow your blog or not. If you are on social media and you are working to build relationships and share with other people, and you're sharing your blog on those social media spaces so that people will come and visit you, and if they're, whether they leave a comment or not, those people are coming to visit you. They're coming to visit you because they love your brand. So you need to understand that it is a brand and everything you do needs to reflect it. So that's my first point. I know I talked for about 7 minutes, but hopefully you found some of that information relevant to you. Whether you have been blogging for a while, whether you're in the beginning stages of blogging. We are also going to cover over the next several weeks, I'm going to be doing a post every so often that will cover the 5 areas that I talked about at the conference. So today we talked about knowing your personal brand. I'm going to talk about knowing your voice. I'm going to talk about knowing your niche and your niche on your blog. I'm going to talk about knowing how to keep your voice on your blog when you're working with brands. And then 5th and last, I'm going to talk about knowing how to find ways to work with brands on your blog while still keeping that voice and that niche and understanding all those things. So thanks for stopping by today. I hope you'll excuse the fact that I have no makeup on, but I am not allowed to wear it for 7 days now that I've had my eye surgery done. So I hope to see you next week. If we were having coffee today, what would you tell me about your brand? What do you think? What are 5 words that you can use to describe your brand to me? Okay? I'll see you next week.